Kids, you're about to listen to a comedy podcast. That means that none of this is medical advice. If you need medical advice or medical care, please contact your doctor.
Welcome to the Jock podcast featuring Dr. London Smith. He's a trained medical professional in the streets, but low-key a savage in the sheets. Introducing your host, Dr. London Smith.
Hello, and welcome to the Jock podcast, where we discuss fitness and health and how to incorporate our modern understanding of science and medicine into our daily lives, but without it being so boring. I'm your host, drlondonsmith.com. I would like to begin by apologizing to our listeners. We have received some feedback, some complaints about my frequent use of technical terms such as vegetative state and cold front coming through. So I will try to restrain myself from that terminology in the future. Here to help with that is our producer, Cameron.
What's the tell, Dr. L?
Okay, well, yeah, so Cameron, he works so hard to stay relevant to the people of this world that when he heard that it was sweater weather, he spent 3 full days outside staring at the sky with binoculars in an attempt to be the first to spot this so-called sweater weather. And all of this...
And it does not exist. I can prove it.
Well, that's proving a negative, though, right? Is that possible?
Yeah. Can I prove that there's a hole somewhere? A hole's a negative.
Okay. Well,
Can I not prove that a donut has a hole? And in that same way, prove that there is no such thing as sweater weather?
Okay, well, in any case...
Weather is things like clouds. Weather is things like lightning.
So, sweater weather is actually, I believe, in reference to the way that you would dress in response to the weather. If that makes sense.
No, weather is like rain.
Right.
Tornadoes, typhoons, hurricanes.
Right. Well, I think in this case it's more of a reference, like it's more of a casual term.
Sweaters are things like cotton, turtlenecks, V-necks, maybe silk.
Sure.
You know.
Okay. Well, in any case, also with us is Digital in the house. 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 Digital in the house.
What's the tell, Dr. L?
Nice one, DJ Dylan.
Ow, ow, ow.
And later, Cameron tells me that we can expect a personal trainer on the show, so look forward to that.
That's right, Dr. London.
It's always nice to bring up sort of the jock part of the Jock doc.
I think it gets neglected. I think maybe, I don't know, it's kind of your nerdy bully behavior, you know? That it pushes the jock types away from this podcast.
You think that being a nerdy bully makes the jocks stay away?
Yeah, I think because you kind of lord your genius medical advice over everyone, it pushes a lot of the cool guys, like the jockey sport guys, away.
Okay.
And so that's why we rarely have them on as a guest. They don't want to be here because they don't want to be here with someone who's going to say, "Oh, you're so stupid. I'm so much smarter than you."
Well, I don't think that I really talk like that to people.
Yeah. You say, "Oh, yeah, sorry, can you even read this? It's not a basketball."
I feel like that's not how I, either the way that I talk.
Sorry, the thing that I'm writing to you doesn't say Spalding on it. Is that the only thing you know how to read is the word Spalding, like on a basketball?
Okay. Well, before we move on, I would like to address a bit of listener feedback. This comes from the Mild Meatball Podcast. They were very kind. They took the time to record a video review of our podcast.
Ooh.
Yeah, specifically episode 23, so not too long ago.
A regular Ebert and Roper or Siskel.
Sure. Yeah.
You know?
All right.
All right, here we go.
DJ Dylan, yeah, could you play that for us?
What's up, Jock Doc? Sorry I'm whispering, my roommate's asleep. Or I guess her name's not Jock Doc, it's Mr. Dr. London.
So first of all, up top, I really like this guy. He kind of puts us in the room with him.
Yeah.
You know? A lot of reviews, I have no sense of where these people are typing out these critiques.
Yeah. And there we
I read
really
a review.
know.
I go to Rotten Tomatoes and I read a review. And I have is this person at a beach? Are they at home in their bed? I know that this person is near his sleeping roommate.
Yeah. And it really sort of gives you a sense of urgency. He had to get that out at that time. He couldn't wait till an hour whenever, say, roommates weren't asleep. Find a quiet place to record real quick.
Well, and depending on how many roommates he has, there's a good chance there's always a roommate asleep.
Okay.
You know, there's a possibility that at any given hour in a 24-hour period, there's going to be at least one asleep roommate.
And that was maybe the best time for him. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe this is the least noisy. Maybe his other roommates, when they're sleeping, are just
Super
nightmares.
Loud. Yeah. Or reviewing the other podcasts.
Oh, that's what it is. And they don't want to bleed over.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want a good review going to a bad podcast or the other way around.
Oh, yeah. I think that is it.
Okay.
I guess my quick review would be like, I think your intro is way too long. Yeah, it's way too long. I think it's really hard to tell the characters apart. And I think that I don't know who this is for. Like, is it for kids? Because the voices and the way you bleep out cuss words makes me think it's for kids.
Okay.
So
no, that is helpful.
Yeah, and I do want to maybe mention to our audience that the reason that the intros are usually so long, most of the time when we start this podcast, I've got my hand stuck in something.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to stall for a little bit just to figure this out before we invite the guest in.
And it's amazing because we've taken precautions here. I've come in very early and, just said, keep your hands where I can see them. Keep them on the table. But, like, today, your hand is stuck in the table.
Yeah.
We try to take that precaution, and I don't understand how you do it.
Well, you know how in, I guess it was Where the Red Fern Grows, where they build those traps to catch raccoons, and it involves, like, putting something shiny into a kind of like a Chinese finger trap type of device or something, and
Sure.
they sticks its arm down there, tries to grab it, and as long as it's holding it, it's trapped.
Yeah, yeah. And so that keeps happening
Sort
to you.
of, yeah, pretty much everything is like that for me. Anything that I can accidentally drop something down becomes that situation, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well,
so if I drop, let's say, a ring or something down the sink, my arm is going to get stuck down that sink immediately.
Which actually sounds dangerous.
I think as a doctor, you should really be preventing this. You know what's going to happen.
And like I said, I'm trying, but I don't know how your hand got stuck in this table. Like, I don't get it. You had your hands on top, and then suddenly one of your hands was within it. So
Well, I'm a very creative guy.
yeah, like there's no drawer. It's just
I'm me. I'm unique.
well.
Sorry, not going to apologize.
And one other note about that review point, which sounds true. So the intro is whenever I introduce, it's the Jock Doc podcast. My name is drlondonsmith.com. DJ Dylan's here. Cameron's here. So that was the intro. And I didn't feel like it was overly long. The rest of it, I mean, the meat of the podcast is obviously the medical topic. So that, but that's not the intro. That's later. So I'm not sure what the problem is there. And also one big point, Cameron has done marketing in such a way that this apparently is tailored for children, this podcast.
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. He didn't know who this was for because we're bleeping out cuss words. I believe there was one single cuss word that was bleeped out in that episode.
Yeah, something like that.
And so obviously it's obviously tailored for, the 9 and under crowd.
Yeah, which
This whole show is.
Yeah, which
My whole life is.
your whole life.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Everything I do is trying to get some laughs out of these kids. How do you break them down?
there are other things.
I can't figure them out.
I can definitely, I've definitely been aware of how you've been targeting children with your beer, your marketing for your beer, your homemade beer, which, once again,
Well, don't say targeting. Targeting, I feel like, has a weird connotation to it. I'm trying to become kind of a 21st century Mr. Rogers. That's basically the goal.
with the beer.
Mr. Rogers did it with puppets back in the day. That worked for the 70s. It's not the 70s anymore. It's 2019.
Right. Okay. Well,
So how do we bring these kids on board? You give them some of this beer that, yes, causes suicide. You get them listening to a cool ass.
right.
And DJ Dylan, if you could bleep out really loudly the cuss word that I just said,
Okay. And what?
so as to not
Let's play the
offend
rest
the
of that clip.
sensibilities of our listeners.
Right. But yeah, we can just listen to the rest of the then.
Sure.
But I also don't think kids are really listening to podcasts, but I don't really know.
Wrong.
One of the characters sounds exactly like Owen Wilson, which is, I guess, if that's what you're going for.
That was a big get for us. We didn't.
I was about to say, I do want to address that. We had Owen Wilson in the room.
Yeah, and he was doing his. I was gonna say voice, but yeah, we had Owen Wilson for that episode.
Yeah, I guess I don't understand why that's a negative at all.
Yeah, no, that seemed good to me. Sorry, go on. Play that.
That's cool. I will say that I think you guys have a really good sound design.
DJ Dylan in the house.
I think the sound's really good, and I think the editing on the sound is good. You have a lot of sound effects in there. But I think, I can't tell if I know it's a parody and it's not serious, but I can't tell if you're like a real doctor or if everything's a character. So I can maybe make that clear. Try to get some differences in between your characters, because I can't tell the difference between any of them really, other than the doctor and then the other two idiots. I listened to episode 23, by the way, because that's the most recent one. Yeah, hopefully this kind of helps you in some way.
I do understand the confusion on the characters, because in that episode we had a lot of characters, and he calls them characters, but like we had me, drlondonsmith.com, we had Cameron, and we also had Mr. Soapy,
Yes.
and Mr. Drain.
Yes.
And I can understand how difficult it would be to differentiate between them, because, Cameron, Mr. Drain, and Mr. Soapy were so alike in so many ways, and they resembled you in a lot of ways.
Well, yeah, I think it's impossible to differentiate between someone talking like this versus someone talking like this.
Right.
Versus someone talking like this. Wow. That sounds the exact same to me.
And for our listeners,
all of those things are identical.
For our listeners, Owen Wilson did just briefly step into the room for that.
Oh, yeah, that was, hey, Owen.
Yeah.
Wow. Now get out. You have to knock first.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
Well, and to address the part about Doctor, sure, I'm Doctor. Okay. So to our listeners, if you would like to send us a video review, you can send it to us through social media. We are Jock Doc Podcast on social media, and we love to get more feedback so we can keep working on this, keep developing this podcast so that it's appealing to you. All right. Now for a tale from the neurology clinic. I had a patient present with trigeminal neuralgia, which is when the trigeminal nerve, which provides sensory information for much of your face, it's when that nerve becomes easily stimulated in such a way as to cause a bolt of excruciating pain. This pain can be triggered by small things such as brushing teeth, putting on makeup, or resting one's face against even soft materials, like just your
I
pillow.
understand that.
I'm sorry. How do
Hurting
you...
when you brush your teeth? Oh, I totally get that.
Well, hurting when you brush your teeth is one thing. So they're talking about this nerve pain. Like the whole face gets triggered by just little things like brushing your teeth.
Oh, I mean, the second I even try to brush my teeth, it completely shocks my whole body.
In what way? Like just touching the bristles to your teeth?
Well, no, it's usually because I have like an electric toothbrush, right?
Right.
Like one of those Sonicare ones. So, you turn it on and it's got like sparks flying out of it.
Okay.
And when I bite down on it, you're supposed to like bite down as hard as you can. It just completely sends a jolt through my body.
Okay, I think that you have it confused because you're supposed to. There should be bristles and like a brush on there, and that's what you use to brush your teeth. Not. It shouldn't.
Well, yeah, there's that too.
It shouldn't spark. That's one thing.
Well, I mean, it's electric. Of course, it's gonna spark.
Well, usually if in a traditional electric toothbrush, the electric parts would actually be covered, like there'd be a covering over them.
Oh yeah, it's covered in sparks.
Okay, I mean actually like a plastic outer covering so that you can't see sparks. So that's an aspect of it.
Well, I mean, that's how I see in my bathroom. The light doesn't work, so I kind of rely on the sparks. So I don't want to cover it up.
Huh. Okay. Honestly, this is... Maybe I should
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, anyway, so this patient who has trigeminal neuralgia, they described having an episode of this trigeminal neuralgia, and then said that she bought some CBD oil and applied it to the painful areas. So in this time period, she also noted that her pain decreased whenever she put that oil on. Now, there is not currently much reliable research on the efficacy of CBD oil, but there is significant research on the efficacy of certain approved medications in controlling the pain of trigeminal neuralgia, one such drug being carbamazepine. This patient's question to us was whether she should bother with medication when she felt that the CBD oil did all of the work already. So
Agreed.
Okay, well, it was a question. So you agree with that? There's a question?
Oh, I guess I agree that there's no reason to use actual medication when you've already got CBD oil.
Okay, well, as physicians, we, of course, prefer medications that are well-researched as opposed to merely having what's called anecdotal evidence of efficacy. So
If medication actually worked, then you'd be able to buy it at a liquor store, like you can with CBD oil.
Okay, well, since different medications are used to treat different things and that some of them can be dangerous depending on who uses them for what, we have to have prescriptions a lot of times from the doctor so that you can use the right medications for the right problems. And if it's just available at your liquor store whenever you want, you could do
I got
harm.
a prescription for you, Dr. London.
Okay.
How about some Captain Jack?
Um,
How about some Tito's vodka? That's the prescription,
Okay.
not the stuff you're hawking and forcing down our throats.
Well, anyway, so my advice to this patient was to go ahead and try the approved medication rather than being reliant upon the CBD oil. All right, now for today's topic, cardiac tamponade. Now, we have previously talked about pericardial effusions in which acute pericarditis leads to fluid gathering in the pericardial space, which is the space in the sac surrounding a heart. Cardiac tamponade is an accumulation of pericardial fluid that occurs at too high a rate for the heart to adapt. This can occur when 200 milliliters of fluid develops gradually, such as when trauma causes bleeding into the pericardial sac, but it can also happen more
Dr.
slowly.
London, what are you doing?
Well, I'm teaching about cardiac tamponade.
No, you're trying to bait me into making gross jokes. Is exactly what you're doing.
I don't
cardio tampon odd or whatever you're saying, and then you're saying you've said sac and fluid 20, 30 times.
I don't think that I've.
What do you think? What do you think of me? I'm just some clown to you?
I wasn't trying to bait you into anything here. I was just. This is the medical term.
Ugh. Even the way you say the word bait makes me want to vomit.
I'm sorry to hear that. Well, let me go on and explain a little bit. I'm sorry you felt deceived in that way. So, cardiac tamponade can also happen more slowly, like in cases related to malignancy. That's like cancer, that kind of type of thing. 2 liters of fluid may accumulate more slowly before cardiac tamponade occurs. The slow accumulation allows the pericardium to stretch to adapt to the increased volume.
Stretch. See, you're trying to do it again.
I really am not. So the main problem in cardiac tamponade is that this sac surrounding the heart fills up
Oh my gosh.
and presses on the heart, preventing it from expanding properly to fill up with blood. Clinically, cardiac tamponade can present with what's known as Beck's triad, which includes hypotension, aka low blood pressure, muffled heart sounds, and jugular venous distension, aka enlarged neck vein.
Yeah, venous, enlarged vein. Dr. London,
Okay.
what is wrong with you today? What has gotten you into this mood? I don't like it.
I'm so sorry that it's coming across that way, but this is just clinical terminology. So, anyway, you can use an echocardiogram, which is basically doing an ultrasound of the heart, and so that is typically used to make the diagnosis. And treatment depends on the cause and also on the hemodynamic stability of the patient.
Stability. So it's like stab. See, you're doing it again, Dr. London. I just don't like this at all. I don't like this side of you. What happened to the actual professional genius who wasn't such a goof off?
I'm sorry. This is just me, explaining a medical topic. I'm not trying to be gross
You're
or
just
disgusting.
this huge jokester now. What happened?
No, I'm just trying to.
Everything's just a bit to you. Patient walks in and they're, walking funny, and you're like, oh, let me imitate that. Because everything's just a huge joke. So you hobble around.
No,
People hate it.
I've tried to refrain from that. I think, we can go ahead and move on. I'm sorry that made you uncomfortable.
Ugh.
Okay.
Move on. I know what that means.
All right, Cameron, do we have a sponsor today?
We do, Dr. London. We have a brand new sponsor.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
And it's a brand new app. You can just download on your phone, any operating system. It can be iOS, Android, Windows, doesn't matter.
Really? Okay.
And it's a new dating app.
Oh, good. Okay.
This app, some apps might center around things like interest in food or interest in music or things like that. This one kind of centers around a shared difficulty. So sometimes the things that bond you together the most are shared pain.
Okay, so like a trauma, sort of like people who've undergone, I don't know, like a death in the family or...
And, I think it's useful to know that there are other people out there with your own struggles and other people out there who are kind of like you. And I think that's kind of what makes apps like this really sort of special.
Okay, that sounds great. So it's like almost like me. Yeah. So, I know whenever I've experienced some deep hurt that finding someone else who has experienced a similar thing, we have a connection on that level at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
Relatability. Okay.
So this new app, you can get it right now. Right now, Dr. London.
Okay.
It's called Roidy Toity, and it is for hemorrhoid sufferers.
I'm sorry. Well, I guess on both of those. The name is Roidy Toity?
Yes.
Okay. And it's for, I feel like I heard you wrong, hemorrhoid sufferers?
You don't think they're suffering. Maybe that is rude for me to say that they're suffering.
No, that's not the part that I'm having trouble with. It's more, is that
You don't know
all?
what a hemorrhoid is.
Okay, so no, hemorrhoid is a vascular outpouching around your
Around
anus, your anal region, in the, I'm sorry to be crass, the butthole, that area.
What is that?
The rear. So you know where your head is?
Yeah.
If you go to the opposite end of the body.
Oh, my booty hole.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyway, hemorrhoids can appear there, and they're usually from like straining, constipation, people pushing hard, and then these vascular parts can pop out, and it can be very painful.
And you know what?
On the type.
And unlike what you were saying before, I do think people who suffer from this deserve love.
Okay, no, I wasn't saying that I wasn't trying to make that claim that they don't deserve love.
And you say a lot of things that you don't say. You know what I mean?
I try to be careful with my words for that reason, I guess, to avoid saying things that I don't mean. Anyway, so this is for people who maybe
suffer from hemorrhoids. And this is not a support group. If you go there looking for support or trying to support other people, they will ban you, they will come to your house, and they will give you more hemorrhoids.
I'm sorry, give you more hemorrhoids?
Yep. They'll hold you down and just pop them on there.
They bring them to you?
Yeah.
And I guess that makes you... I feel like that would just feed into the problem of them looking for support. They would have extra...
And that's the goal, Dr. London.
Okay, so let's say a given person is suffering from hemorrhoids.
Yep.
Suffering, okay.
Yes.
They have this pain, and usually this is a private matter. Like, people don't want to tell other people, hey, I have hemorrhoids. So why... I guess I don't see why this is a point of connectivity for relationships.
It's hard for you to understand why someone who doesn't have a perfect life might want to love someone else, right? You're just trying. You can't wrap your head around someone who's not like a perfect 10 wanting to be with someone.
Just the idea that a hemorrhoid would be that would be the point of connection for someone. I guess like what you were talking about with trauma, like some family, someone close to them passing away, like that kind of thing could be a point of connection.
Well, so I think I get what you're saying. You're saying these people haven't suffered enough.
No.
So what I think maybe we could do as a podcast is encourage our listeners who maybe want to use this app and maybe, have like minor hemorrhoids to just strain.
No.
Sit on that crapper and you got nothing in there.
No.
And you just strain and you just strain and you just push.
Okay. No, I don't think
just
that this
keep
is a good
doing
idea.
it.
Because I don't want our listeners to deal with hemorrhoids because they can be painful and uncomfortable, private matter.
And I should mention the app does let you sort users by their level of hemorrhoids.
The level of severity?
Yeah, from A to Z.
That extensive?
26 different levels, yes.
Wow. Okay. I guess I just don't understand why. So this is the point at which the developers thought people can relate.
Well, maybe the developers are sufferers themselves. You ever thought of that?
I guess that's more likely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so I would have to say to our listeners, please don't, try not to strain whenever you use a toilet. You should, in fact, if you have difficulty with straining and with hemorrhoids,
find love.
I was going to say increase water and fiber in your diet.
And increase the amount of dates you're about to go on because of this app.
Okay. And I don't want to ask this, but
go ahead.
Cameron, have you used this app?
London, I am so glad you asked. I've been trying really, really hard to get access into the app. Hours a day. And I will reach that goal.
Okay, so you haven't gotten hemorrhoids yet,
Not yet.
but you're trying to get
Yes.
there.
They do verify them.
Oh, like with picture?
The picture, yes, but it's really more of like the sample.
Like scraping?
Yep.
Or-
And just kind of snail mailing it in.
That sounds so painful.
I think
and
you can fax
not
it too.
safe.
Not sure, but
Okay, so this has been that's Roidy Toity is the name of this.
that's right.
Of our sponsor today.
In the App Store.
All right. I guess I'm not sure how. Yeah, a great way to meet someone if that's what you're interested within someone else. All right. Thank you to our sponsor, Roidy Toity. All right, Cameron. Do you say we have a personal trainer as a guest today?
We do, Dr. London.
Hi, guys. I love this show. The advice has really changed my life for the better.
Oh, wow, thank you.
Yeah. It's great to hear.
It's really kind of jump-started my personal fitness journey. So, Cam, thank you so much
Oh,
for all
Yeah.
the advice and stuff.
oh yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Trust me, I've got a ton of advice.
Yeah. I write down a lot of what you say.
Yeah, Cameron, you were
Like-
thinking of coming out with a book, right?
Oh yeah, and it's called "What to Do When Your Hand's Stuck in Something."
I would totally read
'Cause
that.
I think that's one of the most common issues facing teens today.
Are you?
Getting your hands caught in a drain, getting your hands caught in like a fan,
Yeah.
maybe in like a small, like a dishwasher.
Sure. Well, anyway, let's go back to this guest. What was your name again?
I'm just the Pilgrim. I run the Pilgrim Powerhouse
The Pilgrim
Training
okay.
Club. Yeah, that's right.
The Pilgrim Powerhouse. Okay.
That's right.
Could you tell us about this Pilgrim Powerhouse?
Look, I run a fitness company, but not only am I a personal trainer, I'm also a professional historian. So what I like to do
Okay.
is combine fitness and history into one. Wow. I'm glad to be here right around Thanksgiving because, gosh darn it, it's the most busy time of the year when it comes to both of those things, isn't it, gentlemen?
Yes.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, and everyone trying to. Well, everyone ate so much this last week. I'm sure everyone's wanting to lose the weight.
Yeah, and Doc, it's so great that you brought up tryptophan nostalgia today, and it's just a really important thing around this time. So I appreciate you bringing that awareness to tryptophan nostalgia earlier.
Tryptophan nostalgia?
Yeah, with the Rita magazine cure or whatever it was. Cam, did you hear him say that?
Yeah, that's right. It's something like that.
Close enough.
I'm just gonna be honest. 95% of the things that he says sounds like.
Oh, okay, so you said 95. Let me get that down real quick. Okay, 95%. Okay.
Yeah, just ignore and just pick and choose the words you want to hear.
Yeah, that's usually what I do anyway. So
Okay, yeah.
cool.
Well, okay.
Yeah, so it's the busiest time of the year for me, and I get a lot of good clients, and I'm glad to be here and just spread the word about fitness and about how you can be fit and learn about history at the same time.
So what's an example like during this time of year, since we're dealing with Thanksgiving, if I wanted a, Thanksgiving workout, what would that look like?
Well, so the first thing we do is I go through some of the lies your history teacher told you. You've seen this book, right? And this is going to matter a lot when it comes to fitness. So we talked just now about tryptophan and how it supposedly puts you to sleep, and it's in turkey and all this other stuff. The history got muddled in this, guys. It's not the turkey that puts you to sleep. It's you that puts the turkey to sleep. Wow. Because back in the day, in the Pilgrims' time, before they ate the turkey the week leading up, the turkeys would sleep in the bed with the family, whether it be just with the dad and mom. But, they had those one little room things. And so they'd hunt the turkey and they'd bring it into the bed and try to get it to calm down, sleep. And that would really, just get the turkey ready for Thanksgiving. So that's the first thing we do is we do a turkey chase and we get them in the bed with us.
Wow. See, that makes so much sense to me. Because people always talk about how turkey makes you sleepy, but for me, I get so excited.
Right.
Because I'm having turkey.
Right.
I'm jazzed.
Yeah,
and turkeys
but
are all
after-
walking around funny and stuff. You got to get them calmed down.
Well, after you eat the turkey, though, is whenever you feel sleepy. And to be fair, there's only so much tryptophan. A lot of it is just because, the blood from your body goes from your brain a little bit more towards your stomach and your digestive tract to digest this turkey. And so part of it is actually, rather than the tryptophan thing, it's actually the blood leaving your brain to some extent. And so there's less blood
Mr.
flow.
Pilgrim, can you tell me why that's nonsense and why Dr. London is wrong?
Because Dr. London does not have a history degree like me. This is one of the things that happens on your show where Dr. London gets going, and he ignores. He has alternative facts about what Thanksgiving actually is and what's actually healthy for you. The best thing you can do to get away from tryptophan nostalgia is to get that turkey in the bed with you. All right. It's also going to raise your heart rate a little bit. Get things kind of moving even while you sleep too. So,
Now, what do I do if I already have a chicken in my bed?
This has been an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't want the chicken in my bed at all.
Well,
Yeah.
he keeps a lot of poultry in the bed, but it's a chicken thing specifically that he has a problem with usually.
I can't get him to leave.
Well,
Yeah.
I do turkeys, so I'm not really an expert on.
No, yeah, it's okay. I was just, hoping someone would be able to help me.
I'll get a hold of my contacts and see what I can find for sure.
Okay.
The other thing that got lost in translation with Thanksgiving is corn on the cob, right? It's just you eat the corn, butter it up or whatever. But
Sure.
what we've lost in the documents is it's actually corn on the cod. And what the Pilgrims would do is they would rip the insides of the cod out, hand it to the kids, let them play with it, and then they would take the ear of corn and shove it into there, like a corn dog, and they put it in there and eat up
Into the
and
uncooked
share.
fish.
Yes, of course, it's corn on the cod. It's just that one little letter was flipped in the translation. How the funny English writing or whatever it is.
So they'd eat the scales?
And that's why it's called an ear of corn, is because it's the ear of the fish. This makes so much sense.
Yep, they had to replace it somehow, of course.
Yeah.
So it's a replacement for the fish ear is what the corn is meant to be.
Wow. History is so cool.
It's so cool. And when you combine it with fitness, you really can get things going. And I'm excited about this year. We're doing the turkey chase. We're going to do, and if the kids want to get involved, we take a couple pumpkins and we throw them in their backpacks and send them on their way.
You've mentioned a couple times the turkey chase.
Yeah.
Is this you chasing a turkey? Is this a turkey chasing you?
That's up to you. There's two different versions. The morning one is the kids chasing the turkey, and then in the afternoons, it's kind of like running of the bulls in Plymouth.
Okay.
The turkeys get going. And sometimes we put, up here in New England at least, we put New England Patriots number 12, Tom Brady jerseys on them. It's just,
Whoa.
and he's playing defense for once, and so we have a good time with the turkey chase.
So is this a common thing in New England? Is that part of New England culture?
Not yet.
Because I haven't heard of it before.
Not yet. It's just a thing we're getting going. We're really, things are about fitness up here. You'll see that, especially with Pilgrim Powerhouse, that people are really glomming on to things like this. But beyond that, we've got the boulder press. How many boulders can you fit on your body while you're laying down? It's a great workout. And it's just modeled after what they used to do to the so-called witches,
Sorry.
Oh, like Salem witch trial type of.
Right. So
type of
we do the
situation.
same kind of thing, but just, maybe the boulders aren't so big, but,
And I imagine that would really work out your core.
Oh, definitely.
Well, it sounds
Definitely.
like it might just smash your core or smush it.
Is that the medical terminology there, Dr. London? It might smash your
Smash.
core.
It might, compress your core. So you said that it's a competition for fitting boulders on top as opposed to, say, holding them up or whatever. Like
No, we need to stick drlondon.com, Smith. drlondonsmith.com. Again, history. You got to keep it focused here. You lay down.
And Dr. London doesn't know anything about history.
Clearly. You got to lay down, and all your friends put as many and as heavy as boulders as they can on you while slinging insults and calling you a witch. So it's
Obviously.
It's an emotional activity as well. It's got to be mind and body.
Okay. It sounds a little odd to me. I wasn't raised in New England. Maybe this is,
Well, yeah, everything that's not vaccinations is odd to you. You see some way that someone might better themselves that's not injecting poison into them, and you're like, oh, that's so weird to me. That's so odd.
Yeah, I guess if Like,
I'm spitting on you.
okay.
You gotta
Well,
open your
I
mind a
couldn't
little
tell.
bit, Doc.
You actually weren't. You seem very dehydrated. That's why I wasn't really reacting. I couldn't tell. Yeah, I thought you were beatboxing, honestly. But okay, so about these exercises. So,
Sure.
how do you incorporate these historic? I guess can I call them historical exercises?
You should.
Into your sort of daily life, because these sound like events that happen once a year or something. You know, the turkey chases and whatever.
Well, it's really a lifestyle, right? You have friends who are into keto or paleo,
Right.
and maybe even different kind of workout things where they somebody talks to you, oh, I do this and I do that and whatever.
I'm a CrossFit guy. I'm a P90X
Exactly.
guy.
So if you want to shut somebody up right away, you say, look, I'm in the Pilgrim's Powerhouse. So what I do to engross myself is I've cut out all the running water in my house. Yeah, and about 100 yards down the road is our well. And so I like to actually climb down the well with a few buckets and climb back up. Great workout. And sometimes I send my kids down there to get that workout in as well.
So
this is kind of an Amish type thing.
Well, we're just trying to replicate the Pilgrim lifestyle.
So you create a need for yourself, and in order to fill that need, in order to live, you have to exercise. That's sort of what you're saying here?
Well, everybody has to exercise. Didn't you know that, Doc?
Technically, in a way, but a lot of people...
You're saying people shouldn't exercise?
I'm saying people should, but a lot of people choose not to.
Oh, but you don't want people exercising because they might end up looking better than you. Is that right?
No. We are actually part of this. A big part of this podcast is encouraging people to both eat well and exercise well. Get these workouts in.
You'd love it if all of our listeners were uglier than you.
I don't.
You'd love it.
No, but okay. So about this. So these exercises, I have sort of I don't want to say an opposing idea, but an alternate idea. What if you left the water on in your house, you didn't, turn that off, and then you still went for those runs, Mr. Pilgrim, running to the well, just, maybe with adequate water supply at your home.
And follow-up question, real quick.
Yeah.
Where do I get one of those hats with the belt on it? Do I just put a normal belt on a hat, or do they come together?
Well, under Pilgrim's Powerhouse, we actually chase down boars for those hats, and you have to tackle it and skin it on site to get that.
So the boar is wearing the hat at the time?
If you'd like to, but I usually just take the boar out right there in the woods, and then you can go ahead and skin and tan it right there as well. So, that's also part of my medieval workout regimen that I like to do around Easter time, too.
Okay. So every workout of yours corresponds to a given historical event.
Yeah, provided that historical event gives us, some good workouts. 1980s. What's that about?
Okay, so like on National Cupcake Day, would that be one of those days where you would have some historical reference for it? Or any I'm thinking of those random days to fill in the other days of the year where it's not a major holiday.
Yeah, Cupcake Day, or the ones that don't matter, like National Teacher Day or whatever. Cupcakes, you got to go back to the history. You start there. Cupcakes were invented in 1574, where there was a really fat king, and he kept eating all these cakes, but he wasn't very smart and he couldn't see. So what they started to do,
King Fatty Dum Dum.
Exactly. So what they started to do is they started making the cakes literally a little smaller and smaller, and then they eventually were giving him cakes, and he was like, "What is this? Is this a cake in a cup?" So you got to go back to that. And so the workout there would be maybe some heavy lifting of some extremely large cakes. You got to carry them from here to there, and then you just taper off those reps. And then it also, again, mind and body, you have to abstain from the cakes in the first place. During that workout.
Yeah, you got to level with me here. Are you a pilgrim?
From the past?
Yeah.
I can't say particularly, but I do.
You can't say because you don't know, or you can't say because you were choosing not to share that information?
If I were to choose to share it, it would not have a good outlook for the people listening.
So it's dangerous information?
Of course.
Okay. Well, that seems a little odd to me, especially for cupcakes to be invented in the 1500s. That sounds kind of late to me, but I'm not a historian, so...
That's exactly. So, but I mean, what I like to do is do it by like era, right? The medieval workouts, it's like wheelbarrow full of, sacks. So you got to carry all the big sacks of wheelbarrow and throw them, bring out your dead, come get that stuff. Yeah. You got to, just wearing armor everywhere every once in a while.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because you're wearing a lot of armor, but it looks like you're just layering because you do have that pilgrim's hat on top of it. But you're also
you got to combine it sometimes. People have leg weights.
Yeah,
Same idea. And then again, it's a great conversation starter. Why are you wearing so much armor? Because I care about fitness.
Most of your armor seems to be fashioned from things that pilgrims would be able to find, like wheat and just random stones kind of wedged in there. I'm not really sure that's effective armor as much as it is sort of just kind of garbage covering your body, right?
To the modern eye, it is garbage indeed. Yeah, but as a pilgrim, you just got to make do with what we've got. That's the American way.
That's what Pilgrim's Progress is.
You could say that.
And to your credit, Mr. Pilgrim, it does appear that, it wouldn't be good armor for protection's sake, but as you were saying, I guess it would add weight, which is your goal, from what I understand. So, to your credit, it looks like that
with
would
that.
work.
With that, I need some emotional armor, Doctor.
Okay.
What are you saying? I mean, I'm not trying to add weight.
I'm sorry. No, I meant as an outer covering. I wasn't talking about
Dr. London.
Cam.
Why would you say that to our guest? Who's from the past.
I guess it would add weight, which is your goal. Okay. Well, I don't mean tensions seem kind of high right now, and I didn't intend for that. So I wasn't commenting on your physical appearance. It was about the articles of clothing that you're wearing, more about the armor. But we can move on from there.
What about for Christmas? Christmas is coming up in a few weeks.
Great question.
What are some of the lies that people like Dr. London have tried to shove down our throats? What are some of the truths, and then how can we apply that to our,
personal
Christmas,
fitness, yes.
Hanukkah?
Yeah. The story goes the shepherds were watching their flock by night. Actually, if you want to be historically correct and have a good fitness workout, you need to be chasing your sheep by night. Animals and history, very important that we're chasing the animals and getting our workout that way. But in this case, we're not really going to really eat these. It's not really the Christmas way. But we do have a sheep chase as well during Christmas. And the diet during Christmas time, we like to phase out the Thanksgiving diet, corn on the cob. We get the turkey out of the bed, and then we start our first century AD diet. And that's a lot of fun.
Okay. What all is involved in the first century AD diet?
The first thing we do is we do a little bit of intermittent fasting. Because
they didn't have food? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, it's a different thing. We got to put a shock to the body.
Okay.
Yep. So your fish, your breads, all those fun AD first century foods. It's a really good time. And then every once in a while, one thing I like to do, especially around Halloween time, if you want to do a pirate type of thing, this fits into Thanksgiving as well, is you take about a month and you don't eat any vitamin C. That's when the scurvy set in and you can really turn things around.
I'm sorry, you intentionally acquire scurvy?
Look, to bring the body up, you got to break it down, right? So, it's a historically accurate thing too.
I've been saying this for so long. Dr. London keeps telling me to stop intentionally hurting myself, and I keep saying, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger."
That's a saying, but that's not a literal. That shouldn't be applied to every part of life.
I mean, the Pilgrims did it. Why can't we?
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
Okay, because for our listeners, you should not obtain a vitamin deficiency, if at all possible, you should be taking multivitamins. Vitamin C, you can find that in like citrus fruits. Famously, oranges will have a lot of vitamin C.
And so that vitamin C your way away from fitness.
Well, so vitamin C deficiency can mess with your connective tissue, and so that leads to bleeding.
I would like to encourage our listeners to get as close to death as possible, as often as you can.
That's right.
And then work yourself back up.
That's what the Pilgrims did. They started America. If you hate America, then don't follow my fitness plan.
Okay. Well,
if you want to hate America and spit on the Pilgrims and spit on our forefathers, then listen to what Dr. London's saying, "Oh, eat as much vitamin C as you want." But if you want to
truly live
in the way that our forefathers intended,
that's right,
then you need to get as close to death as possible, as frequently as possible, in the cold,
and
as cold as possible. Throw away your jackets.
Get those turkeys in your beds.
Get those turkeys in your beds.
This does bring up another point, though, that it's kind of been on the sidelines. But so, Cameron, when you say the forefathers, I need to clarify again. It doesn't mean your foreparents that happen to also be fathers.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Well, I'm just trying to make this point because
everyone has four fathers: your grandmother, your grandfather, your grandmother on the other side, and your grandfather on the other side.
Wow.
Okay, and I gotta say, that's just not that's not what those words mean. Forefathers is FORE. It's not the number. It's saying the one who came before.
Yeah, FORE, like the number 4.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sorry. I just wanted to clarify that point for our listeners in case you took it there. All right, Mr. Pilgrim, what about New Year's? Is there a New Year's tradition that's also coming up?
New Year's is tough. It's a lot of traveling, right? You're coming back home. You are probably drunk for most of that time. So what I like to do, if you've heard of Hair of the Dog.
Okay.
Yeah, so anyway, it works for me because I like to engross myself, and I would recommend this for just about anybody else when it comes to New Year's, especially January 1st and maybe even January 2nd. But I continue this throughout, and if you're a real hardcore Pilgrim powerhouse, you might want to do this too. Back in Renaissance days, all the way up to the Pilgrims' days, water wasn't good for you to drink. I don't know if you knew that, Doc. Did you know that back then water wasn't it was bad?
Nope.
I bet he had no idea.
There have been times, a lot of times in history where the water was unhealthy. Right now it's filtered pretty well, at least in the States.
Right. So back then you just didn't drink it. You ended up with some disease that you didn't want, like dysentery or something. So what they would do is they would drink beer in the mornings and then for lunch every day, even the kids. So that's part of my Pilgrim Powerhouse plan of fitness, especially around the New Year's, is beer in the morning every day. Because to be a true blue, either Renaissance or founding forefathers, that's what they did. Just to keep the water it's away because it's dirty, and that's what you kind of want to emulate.
Well, I think that one point of contrast that you might want to make here is that water now currently is actually purified, generally, depending on where you get it. So maybe that exercise wouldn't apply as much. Similar to you're turning the water off for your house, that sort of issue. You could probably, if just drinking beer is the exercise, then maybe that's one to actually avoid, because beer, a lot of alcohol products or I guess any alcohol product can have unfortunate effects on the liver. It can increase your liver enzymes and lead to cirrhosis.
What the hell are you rambling about?
This
is so annoying.
I was talking about the effects of beer on the body, about alcohol in the body.
Yeah, they're awesome.
And it's not as bad as dirty water.
Exactly.
Yeah, and as opposed to water that's filled with bacteria or protozoa or whatever, sure, beer would be the alternative in that sense. But generally, you're if you live in a developed country, then that won't be such an issue.
Good God.
America wasn't a country, Doctor. America wasn't a country when the Pilgrims landed here, right? It took 200 years or so. So, I don't know what you're talking about. Developed countries. We're not. It's not really in my. What I'm talking about.
Okay.
It was more like a general store.
Okay. That you think a general store is what a country looks like before it's developed.
Yeah, before you kind of just came by and you visited the Native Americans and you kind of picked up things at their store. Prices were a lot cheaper then. It was like a hay penny would get you like 2 hams.
Okay.
And then you develop America.
It's that easy, Doc. Yeah.
Yeah, so just a few steps.
So just to close out here, we're gonna wrap up. What's one piece of advice that our listeners could take?
I've got the perfect one, and it's
from history.
I've got it for you. One of the staples of history and dieting, especially. The French Revolution was based on it, and what usually starts violence and wars is the lack of food. And that one food is usually, because of a bad crop or something like that, is usually bread. And I just want to give everybody the great advice that we're talking about breaking the body down and bringing it back up. Before the 20th century, we didn't really have this idea or ability to kind of work this out. So, Cam, you ever notice when your bread is in the closet for a while, it starts to turn green?
Oh yeah, all my bread is green.
Yeah. So what you can do with that is when you actually do eat pieces of that bread, you can start to build a tolerance against very important and very scary diseases. So just check on your toast in the morning, and if it has a little bit of green on that, keep that there. Don't tear it off, and eat that up. You can build up your tolerance, and then that'll just fit in great with all the other fitness things that I'm promoting with the exercises and just the lifestyle in general.
Oh, done and done,
yes, sir.
By the way, because that's all my bread is covered in green. I kind of wait until it's ripe like that.
Oh, you're right on it then, yeah.
I should, for our listeners, that is not good advice. You should not eat.
And this makes a lot of sense because I am really resistant to most diseases. Usually when I get sick, it's like from some sort of a plague or something.
Exactly.
And it's because I've become immune towards, the common man diseases.
Right.
You usually get sick from the plague?
Yeah, it's usually some sort of plague when I get ill. That's the only thing that can even take me down.
Okay, well, we should just wrap it up. But I will say, yeah, for our listeners, please do not eat bread after it becomes moldy. That if it changes color, do not eat that. That you should throw that away. It's been colonized at that point. All right,
just like America.
Just like
that's right.
America. Thank you. That is a good point.
Yep.
But I just want to say, cheese is mold. Ham has mold on it, so it's just a ham and cheese sandwich. That's all your bread is.
It isn't, but okay. No, we should just wrap up. Thank you to Cameron for helping us here, our producer. Thank you to Mr. Pilgrim. And Mr. Pilgrim, is there a way that our listeners can hear more of you elsewhere?
So beyond being a successful personal trainer and historian, I also run a podcast called Pilgrim's Digress. You can find it all over at www.pilgrimsdigress.com. Everything New England.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you also to Digital in the House.
I don't know who this is for. Like, is it for kids?
All right, and I am drlondonsmith.com. This has been the Jock Doc Podcast.
See ya.
Bye.
To all of those who have been walking up to me on the street, spitting in my face, and saying, "Not my president," I need to clarify that I am not the president, nor have I ever run for office, nor do I have any intention of doing so.
Nor would you ever be elected.
For all I know, maybe not.
Never in a million years. I couldn't even. I'm trying to imagine someone walking to a voting booth and seeing your name with a checkbox next to it and clicking that check. Like, I understand the concept. Imagining it is near impossible. It's like trying to imagine a color that doesn't exist, you know?
So this does lead me to my next question here. The people coming up to me and spitting my face, was that your doing, Cameron?
To be completely honest, I don't think those people needed any prodding whatsoever.
Okay. Specifically, did you tell people that I was running for office?
I told people.
And about whatever policies you think that I would have.
Well, yeah. Of course I did.
Well, you say that like it's sure, I'm the producer of the podcast. Of course, I told people that you're running for office.
Of course, I'm trying to promote your brand in any way possible. Now, again, I cannot even comprehend the idea of a single person, even your mom, going into the voting booth and giving you a vote. It's so beyond. I mean, it's not to say it's a fairy tale. Doesn't even really convey what I'm getting at. It's more like something that no one's ever imagined before, so it's impossible to just kind of conjure it up.
Okay. Well, please let us know why I should not run for office and a 5-star review of the Jock podcast on your preferred podcasting app. And don't forget to text friends and family with a link to your favorite episode of the podcast. Or just text them our handy website, jockdocpodcast.com. Thanks for listening.